Hello and welcome to Ukraine Today. My name is Peter Byrne. Today in the studio we're joined by Pavel Yurkovsky, who is a specialist in combating pro-Russia propaganda that's been a source of media stories in the international press and in local press for the past several months, ever since the Kremlin-led invasion of Ukraine back in March. Welcome to the program. Can you tell me what your organization is, what the name is, and what are you doing here in Kiev?
So normally our organization is Effective Communication Training Center, and we deal with all kinds of communication, especially business. Right now, when propaganda from Russia became huge, and as we know, it's very easy to sell something, either Russian world or Alsev, just the same technologies. And we consider this propaganda to be very harmful for the heads of people. And as I've got Ukrainian father, who was he was born in Ukraine, I feel half Ukrainian, or even, I don't know if I'm Belarusian Ukrainian or Ukrainian Belarusian. In any case, we know how to deal with propaganda, and though it seems to be really dangerous and, you know, like a wall that you cannot overcome. We know weak places of Russian propaganda, and we show it to people how to bottle it, how to understand, and how to be effective in not to be under influence of this awful propaganda.
The terms, so we use the term zombification and de-zombification.
Yeah, exactly.
How long typically does it take you and your colleagues to de-zombify someone who has been watching Russian television or listening to Russian state media for a protracted period of time? Is it done, can it be done in one day, or does it take 2 weeks?
Oh, you know, let's begin from the very beginning. In 1991, Soviet Union collapsed. And what do you think happened to those who worked for Soviet propaganda? Did they disappear? Not. In reality, they just waited a little bit, and since mid-90s, they started to build this USSR 2.0 project. And you know, when we say zombification, it didn't start last year or just 2 years ago. It was, you know, by and by, in every sphere, for example, books, movies, shows on TV, so everywhere, if you compare it to marketing, when you've got theory of touches, so a client must touch a product, let's say, 9 times to be sure it's good. So they had for years these touches of propaganda. So how can I imagine? They were zombified for at least, if we want to start from the Soviet Union era, let's say 1995. So 20 years of zombification and 1 day of zombification. It's impossible.
But does your approach differ depending on whether or not the individual is older or younger? If you
exactly.
Work with 15-year-olds, adolescents, as well as with people who are of pensioner age?
You know, for everybody, we've got just common structure how to fight it. What happened? They've got their own map in their heads. In this map, there are a lot of fascists, junta in Kiev, etc., etc., etc. And when we say they've got it in their heads, it's not just imaginary. They do really believe that they eat Russian-speaking people in Kiev. Well, I'm in Kiev and I speak Russian. I was involved. I traveled all around the Ukraine, and I never experienced a minor problem of non-speaking Ukrainian. I do speak it a little bit, but not really. For them, this is the reality. And how can you fight? What we say, you put a small seed to show that something is wrong. In this case, in their heads appear a small doubt. And then the same theory of touches, just add something. You were deceived over here. Normally, there was something that was not quite true over here, over here, over here. And by, these people will get out of their map, number one, to real map that is the map of the entire world. Because it cannot be like in North Korea, for example. They do really believe that they won championship, football championship. They do really believe that their cosmonauts came to the sun. The same is in Russia. So you have to act by and by. And what we also say, you cannot come to a pharmacy and get a universal tablet from everything. If you've got a headache, you will be prescribed something for the head. The same, there are different people with a different level of influence, and you have to act on their weak points.
It sounds a little bit like psychotherapy.
Exactly. But what happened to people? They were normal, and at a certain moment, they switched off or switched on something, and we saw just absolutely different countries thinking and believing in the fairy tales that has nothing to deal with the reality.
How many people have you coached or trained or worked with, and what's been the result so far?
You mean Russia or Ukraine?
Here in Ukraine. I'm interested in Ukraine first and foremost.
I must say that beforehand we worked very much with Moscow, and since Crimea crisis started, we just stopped. Because, you know, what we teach is like a tool that you can use for a good deal, but you can also use the same tool to kill people. That's why we stopped to work with Moscow companies, and we started to work with Ukraine. So right now we've got, I think, at least 200 people that were trained in groups, coached, because what we do, we had seminars in Kiev. And we do also right now have 2 groups for webinars. So even when we come back to Minsk, we will continue to be in Ukraine.
And do you have any competition? Are there other training organizations that do similar work?
Not quite. And you know, we've got our own system. We worked quite hard, and we started from NLP. Then we were adding, and we tried to realize what's wrong with NLP.
Or what's NLP? Just so.
Neuro-linguistical programming.
Right.
NLP. We've got good teachers from different countries, and sometimes, well, it's a really powerful tool, but sometimes it doesn't work. So we came further just to apply it to different groups, and especially it came from business. And well, what we're doing right now, we invented our own system.
Well, where do you expect to take it in the coming months and the coming year?
With propaganda.
Yeah, this program that you're working on, how fast do you think you'll be able to expand your work?
If we speak about social media, we've got a special program of only, let's say, 6 hours. So 4 webinars, 1 hour and a half. And we believe, and our experience shows, that everybody has his own strategies, powerful strategies that can be applied to counteract propaganda.
Okay, and one important question is that I've been wondering about: how much does it cost, and who pays?
So normally we do it as volunteers, or even we paid.
So you're doing this is a philanthropic
Yeah, exactly.
endeavor.
You know, what we do, you know, even to rent a webinar room, you have to pay. Right. You don't get it for free. You pay for internet, and what we do it for the future generations.
But have any foreign governments or even the Ukrainian government approached your group and say, we'd be interested in supporting you and helping you work with?
We hope so. We hope so. Because, you know, if we have not only volunteer movement, because we've got, let's say, at least 15 people that we are dealing with in Ukraine. They organize people, they do a lot of job. If we've got financial support even for them, for us it would be much easier and we would advance much faster.
Well, good luck with your work here in Kiev and with your work in Belarus. Thank you very much for coming to our studios and talking with us. This has been Pavel Yurkovsky from a Belarusian organization that's working here in Kiev, working on helping to deprogram people who have taken in too much Russian propaganda.